I was unconscious on the bathroom floor. I don't know how long. I came to only because there was this insistent male voice. He just would not stop trying to wake me up. And he kept saying urgently, Wendy, Wendy, you've got to wake up. You've got to wake up now, or you're going to go home. And I knew exactly what he meant, that I was going to die. This is Wendy Rose Williams, and I'm on Your Superior Self.
Wendy Rose, such a professional coming in here hot like that. I know it's cold there, but it's hot here. Um, how are you doing this evening?
I am doing great. Happy to be here.
I love it. I love that you were able to make time out of your busy schedule and join us in the audience here to discuss your experiences. Near-death experiences are on the top of my list of further explanation, or not explanation, exploration. Um, because I find it so fascinating how, for me anyway, it started the fire of truly investigating the phenomena and like diving deeper into what this reality is, and especially with my religious dogma background, where I thought you had to be perfect to go to heaven, and then some of the NDEs that I learned about, it wasn't necessarily the case, where people were average Joes or maybe not living the best life, and next thing you know, they're experiencing heaven. So that really fascinated me, and your story truly fascinates me because I think there's two NDEs in there.
Yes, there were. And I think what you're saying just brings up there's no discounting direct experience, because as well-meaning as the religious upbringing might be to teach values and so on and so forth, it's just a lot of it's taught as theory, and it just I think feels kind of unrelatable to people.
Did you, before you had your NDEs, had you heard about NDEs?
I had not. That's an excellent question. And because mine was long ago and happened when I was 36 years old and just a super busy working mom, I really didn't have any background in it. It's not like now, where we're sitting down and watching Surviving Death become number one on Netflix.
Why do you think that is, right? People have this hunger for that knowledge.
You took the word right out of my mouth, Trey. I was just going to say people have just a hunger for those direct experiences and to just be able to understand the nature of consciousness and what's really going on. I think Earth is raising her vibration and frequency, which again can sound kind of theoretical. Maybe another way to put it is people are really changing. They're waking up and discovering what's truly important. COVID was a huge wake up call for so many people. And for some, it had some pretty beautiful silver linings, not just seeing Earth start to really heal herself, but people getting out of that rat race of just the 60 or 80-hour work week when you're counting in those 2, 3, 4 hour commutes being added in there, and employers just insisting that we be in the office 5 days a week.
Yeah, I hear you. My commute is like an hour and a half. But I get to listen to great podcasts like this, right? Well, I don't listen to mine, right? But I mean, I'm here for this conversation, but I listen to great ones like this and that talk about near-death experiences and quantum physics and spirituality. And I really get to learn a lot about like fascinating people like yourself who have experienced the phenomena for yourself and then come back and so graciously speak to us who have not experienced it. But uh, we get a perspective just listening to your story. So without further ado, let's hit it, right? Like let's get into the NDE.
Sure. So what happened was I was 36 years old. I was newly pregnant. We were over the moon, just very, very excited because we'd had infertility and also I'd had two ectopic pregnancies. We also had a toddler, but we're just very thrilled to be expecting. I'd had just one visit to the OBGYN physician because I was only 10 weeks pregnant. And the day that the first NDE happened, I was working at home alone. My husband's off at work. He's got one car. Our nanny was at the park with our toddler. So she had the other car. And Trey, I just did not feel right. I just couldn't get comfortable. And I kept thinking about this incredible heartburn, which just was not making sense to me. I'd called the doctor's office multiple times to say how much heartburn I was having. And I just kept getting the advice, well, Mylanta is safe to take in pregnancy. Go ahead and take that. But I'm like, but why? Why so much incredible heartburn? The other thing that was happening to set the stage was I continued to have this vivid dream. It was always the same dream. It was multiple times a week, and I'd never had that happen before. And what would happen in the dream was I would see this huge storm at sea, and I would see a large sailing vessel, and storm comes up and just everything is ripping and tearing. Like the cleats are coming off, the winches are coming off, the masts would always break off, and the ship would break in two and go down. Now, this does not take a master dream interpreter to tell you, Wendy, your ship's about to go down. But I didn't understand that dreams could be prophetic, that they could be telling us about something that's going to come up, and to really be paying attention. So I'm at home, I'm trying to work, and I try and lay down, I try and work. I'm like restless, restless. I suddenly had this sense of impending doom, and I don't have any other words for it.
Hmm.
I ran into the bathroom thinking something's really wrong. I'm going to be sick. I don't know what's happening. And once I got in the bathroom, I looked down at my abdomen in astonishment because it felt like someone had stuck a knife in me. And my last thought was, oh my gosh, an organs burst. I'm going down. I'm going down just like that ship. And I remember crying out for help, but I knew no one was home. So at that point, I was just crying out to God for help. I came to, I was unconscious on the bathroom floor. I don't know how long. I came to only because there was this insistent male voice. He just would not stop trying to wake me up. And he kept saying urgently, Wendy, Wendy, you've got to wake up. You've got to wake up now, or you're going to go home. And I knew exactly what he meant, that I was going to die. So I'm opening my eyes and I'm disoriented because I'm laying on my side and I'm in so much pain. I'm like doubled up in the fetal position. But to my astonishment, my bathroom is filled with angels. There's 4 or 5 angels. They are so large. They're 7 or 8 feet tall. There's just so much love and so much energy and so much light and just presence pouring forth from them. So I'm like trying to take this in, because angels are now no longer theoretical. They're filling my bathroom. They are absolutely real. And he repeats, you've got to call for help now. And I answered, my response was, I understand, but I can't walk. How am I going to get to the phone? Because the year was 1997, so we don't have the handy dandy phone glued to our hand or glued to our in our back pocket. And I had to get to a landline. His answer was really telling. And what he said was, you just have to be willing to try. And I think that just meant, I think that was such a multi-layered answer. I think the angel was referring to free will, because we've got to be willing to ask for help. And then we've got to be willing to surrender to however it might come to us. And our guides, angels, God, whoever you believe in, they can't do it for us. We've got to be active participants in our lives. There's no magic wand to do it all for me. So my response was to just try and get up on my hands and knees. The minute I managed to do that, again, my belief system no longer made sense, because I just gently was assisted to the point of, I felt like I was held like that. It felt like I was gently flown the few feet that I needed to get to the landline on that nightstand in the master bedroom. So I did pause for a second thinking, oh gosh, who do I call? All he said was, you need to call for help now. So I decided to call my husband at work. It didn't even enter my mind to call 911, healthy 36-year-old. I've never called 911 in my life. And I call my husband, and miracles continue because I actually reached him at work.
Mm.
And I don't think I've ever reached him immediately at work before or since. So definitely I was being helped every step of the way. And I give him great credit because all I said was, I need you to drive me to the hospital now. Can you take me to the hospital now? And all he said was, on my way. And I heard the phone slam down. So no Q&A needed at that point. And so I know my husband's only 5 minutes, and I have time to make a quick call to the OB office. I told them what was happening. They asked me a couple questions. I told them excruciating pain, and my abdomen was distending really oddly. I mean, it was just growing and growing, which made no sense to me. I was not bleeding. I know they're thinking miscarriage, and I didn't think that's what was going on. So I told them about the searing pain, and it felt like something had burst. And what they told me was, when you get to our office, again, the OBGYN office was right at the hospital, which I think was really important for me. And they said, don't park the car. We're going to be waiting for you curbside, and we're going to have a wheelchair for you, and we'll take you right up to the office. So it's exactly what happened. They take me straight into the ultrasound room and help me get up on the bed because I can't even get up on the exam table. I can't even get up there by myself. And the ultrasonographer is trying to adjust the resolution, and I'm looking, it's like, I can't see anything. Is your machine working? Is what I asked her. And her response was, I'm going to go get the doctor now. So I'm looking at my husband like, this is not good. I don't understand what's happening, but this is not good. So she's back very quickly with not only a physician, an OBGYN, but she's got a certified nurse midwife with her. And I did kind of look around at that moment, and it was kind of humorous because we've now got like 5 people jammed into the room that you can barely fit 2 into. And the physician tries to adjust the ultrasound machine, and he realizes what's happening, and he tells me as gently as he can, but straight to the point, Wendy, you've got a major abdominal bleed going on. We don't know where it's coming from. And that's why all you're seeing on the screen is black. That's all the blood. It's all blood loss. That's why we can't see any organs. You've got a major bleed going on. So someone ran over onto the hospital side and got a stretcher at that point because they didn't want me even sitting up in the wheelchair. They get me on the stretcher and take me onto the GYN floor and admit me bedside. So admissions comes on up to me there. Do not pass go. And I can hear a nurse. And I also noticed they put me in a room right by the nurse's station. And having worked in healthcare for many years, I knew that meant they were really concerned about me. She's calling for blood. She asked me, the nurse asked me if I know my blood type. I said, yes, of course I do. I think everyone should know your blood type. This can be vital information, and you can just get a free, in case of emergency, phone app. And you just put it on your phone. And then if you're ever in a situation where you can't talk, you're just not clear-headed, whatever might be going on, medics, emergency personnel, they don't have to know your phone password. It's just going to come right up for them. Your blood type, any allergies, any other important information. I've got in there how to feed my dog, that I have a dog and that someone would need to go to my house, and what to do to take care of her. This is surprising because they've called the Puget Sound Blood Bank, which is the regional blood bank, to not be wasting blood. And they can't get anything because there'd been a major train collision a few days before I ended up being hospitalized. So they don't have any A negative blood. So we're trying to make the decision. Do we go ahead and do surgery, but we don't have blood? We don't know what we're operating on. So we decide instead to wait and watch. Of course, I'm being closely attended. I'm very comfortable with the hospital I'm in. And I can't get out of bed, though. I just have to lay flat. And I'm trying to think of what are the non-essential organs, if that's what actually happened, that burst. So let me stop at this point, Trey. Questions.
Question. What is that dog chewing on? I want to know that.
I'm so sorry. She watching to give you the best background music and found the loudest squeaky toy that she can find,
That's
which I
how my
never
dog
removed
is.
from her.
That's how my dog is.
So she
What
can
kind,
go find something else quieter to do. I apologize.
it's all good. What kind of dog?
Real world here. She's a black lab mix and she just managed to find another one. Thank you so much, Henley. We're going to be taking those away from you one by one by
Oh,
one.
that's so funny. Oh, that's great. Um, yeah, I think my question is, right, like what's going through your mind, right? Like, are you hitting that fight or flight, right? That reaction. What's the body feeling at this point?
What was going through my mind, it was so hard to focus. It was so hard to remain conscious because there just was so much concern and was so much blood loss going on. They did get blood for me, but it was probably about 6 to 8 hours before they started transfusing it. And I could see they were transfusing it at an alarming rate. So my I could feel myself teetering between worlds. I could
That dog
feel
has the most squeaky toys I've ever
she has the most
seen.
toys we have ever seen, and she's managed to find the
What do
entire
you got a
basket
dog store? Just
for everyone's listening pleasure. This is the fun real world. Let's see if she can find a quiet one next.
she's gonna find another one. I
She,
guarantee
she is. She says, "This is just so fun." I bring them to mom and she takes them out of my mouth.
it.
It's
You
such
started
good,
something now.
such good fun. What was concerning me was it was just hard to process what was happening. And as I felt like I was walking between worlds, what concerned me the most was I didn't really care. I was just in so much pain. I was blowing through every pain reliever they could try and give me. I was now on morphine, really concerned about that. This is not what is recommended for our first trimester of pregnancy or any trimester of pregnancy, blood transfusions and morphine. So and just to not care really scared me because
Hmm.
that is so not my personality. It's just I've always been just really persistent, and you give me a challenge, I'm going to figure it out. So that was concerning me a lot. I was trying to visualize a good outcome, and I was really having trouble doing that. So the wait and watch continued for about 3 days. And again, I'm being very closely attended to. There was some discussion, do I get transferred downtown? We agreed no. The hospital I was in did about 5,000 births a year. So even though it was a community hospital, I knew that meant excellent GYN care, and I'd had my 2 ectopic pregnancy surgeries there, and I'd gone through my infertility treatment. So I was just staying where I was with my own physician and his partner.
Mhm.
But day 3, my doctor lets me know, Wendy, you're officially bleeding out, meaning we can't transfuse it as fast as you lose it. I'm continuing to get bigger and bigger abdomen. I now look like I'm about 5 or 6 months pregnant when I'm actually 10 weeks pregnant, didn't even look pregnant. So, and just so much pain, especially not only the abdomen, but left arm where that IV is going in so rapidly. And so I do agree to the surgery. So we're going to do the surgery the next morning, and it's going to be 2 OB/GYN doctors. And I have my dinner. You get your dinner at 4 o'clock promptly. You're in the hospital, and I'm by myself in the hospital room tray, and I'm trying to visualize the best outcome. The minute I have that thought, I pop right out of my body. I leave it. And like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. I wasn't so scared. I wasn't so anxious. I wasn't in pain. And I'm like looking back over my left shoulder, and I'm looking at myself as Wendy in the bed thinking, she's fine. Oh my goodness, she looks terrible. I did have a humorous moment. It's like she's whiter than the sheets, and her hair looks like the wild woman of Borneo. It's not like you've exactly been brushing or combing your hair during these, days in bed. And then I'm like, wait a minute, why am I referring to myself in the third person? I've never done that before. But I knew immediately I was in pure soul form and felt fantastic to be out of that temporary body that was named Wendy Rose Williams. So again, quite blasé about the body. Oh, she's fine. Because what I'm interested in, I can see this white light just pouring down from the ceiling of the hospital room. And nothing is going to stop me from following that. It was just compelling. It was just magnetic, just drawing me up. I have to go back to this light. I have to check this out. Plus, I feel better and better. The more I follow it, and the closer I get to it. So I go out of right through my room, I go out of the hospital, and now I'm starting to get that Google Earth view of how gorgeous everything is. I did have a fleeting thought, my goodness, we need to take better care of Earth. She's so gorgeous and she's more fragile than the way we are acting. So I had that thought, but I'm again looking up at the light. And then it was like suddenly I just ran out of gas. I didn't have any energy left. And I had this thought, oh, please do not make me walk through that tunnel. I don't think I will make it through the tunnel. And then what tunnel? I had never seen a movie about a tunnel. I didn't know about much about other NDE experience. I'd like heard near death experience, but I didn't really know what it meant. Because again, it's 1997, very busy working mom. So not on my radar. The minute I think, please don't make me walk through that tunnel, I won't make it. I don't have enough energy. This gorgeous escalator drops in just for me. It's pristine. And I put so much light coming off it, no one else on it. And I put myself on it gratefully and start going up and up and up. And the fact that I was now on the escalator made me realize what my body form was. I just sensed I should be like a beach ball, like a big orb of this just really energetic, like a little lightning storm. And instead, I'm like flatter than a pancake. I'm like the flattest flat tire you've ever seen. I'm just like hanging over the side of the escalator railing. And that's how I'm getting my ride up. The minute I get to the top of the escalator, I am so happy to be back home, be back with the light. My entire soul group family is there waiting for me, and I can see those same angels because they're larger and there's more light coming off them. I can see them in the back of the group, and everyone's welcoming me home. I get this huge group hug. There was so much love from it. I could have stayed there forever. You can hear it just still makes me emotional. It's 25 years later, but that perfect unconditional love from that group, it just was everything. And I then hear Archangel Michael, how I now recognize was in my bathroom, like, oh, of course, it's Archangel Michael. And he says to me, welcome home. We're so glad you're here. You've done nothing wrong. You're welcome to stay. And I'm like, still in that group hug. I'm like, well, of course I'm staying. Why would I go anywhere else? This is the best. But what he continues with, but if you choose to go back, because it is your choice, you're going to need to decide quickly. So then I think, oh yeah, that hot mess in the bed. Yeah, I get it. She's not going to survive without that soul energy, without me in there. She's not going to survive. So he tells me, I can tell you 3 things to help you make your decision. If you choose to go back, you will have a successful surgery and you will recover your health fully. This is huge. This is like weight of the world off my shoulders. Number 2, your baby will be born healthy. So remember, I'm only 10 weeks pregnant, and there's all this really concerning stuff has been going on for days. And so this is a really big deal. So it's like, oh my goodness. Number three, because of course I'm like now really considering going back. Number three was the kicker. Number three was, if you choose to go back, your life will be very difficult, likely for many years, because you're not on your life path. I feel terrible. I feel embarrassed. I feel just so horrible to hear that I'm 36 years old and I'm not doing the right thing. I'm not accomplishing my life path and purpose. So, of course, I ask Archangel Michael, well, what's my life path? What am I supposed to be doing? What am I not supposed to be doing? Please tell me. I want to get this right. This is so, so important. And he just gently shakes his head. So he's not going to share anything with me. But come on, we all know group behavior. So I look around because there's a big group here. There's about 20 souls here. There's other angels here. So I look around to see who's the chatty Cathy. I'm thinking, come on, I can get somebody to talk, right? Please, what is my purpose? What's my life path? What am I meant to be doing and learning and accomplishing? No one will tell me. So my energy is starting to just plummet. I'm getting like flatter again. And at that point, my group realizes it. So they start acting like the ultimate hams. They're just being really humorous. And I felt my energy going back up again just because they're being ridiculous. They're putting duct tape over their mouths. They're like locking the key and like throwing it away, but just being ridiculous. And that made me realize just the healing power of humor. When we smile, when we laugh, when we can provide that sense of humor to ourselves or to others around us, it really is one of our best coping strategies.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciated that from people so much. And Archangel Michael then asked me, what do you want to do? And again, now that I know a lot more about near-death experiences, I so appreciate that respectful choice because not everyone is given it. A lot of people talk about just being pushed back or forced back or being told it's not your time. But I was given a very respectful choice. The minute he asked me, all I could see was our daughter's face. All I could see was our toddler's face. And it wasn't just normal size. It was like the 70-foot IMAX screen size that just filled my entire world view. And all I could see was her smiling at me. So I told him, I'm going back. Put me back in. I need to go back. I'm going back for my children. And it was just that simple because, again, I knew I was going to regain my health. I knew I was going to have another healthy baby. And I was just going to have to figure the rest out, even though it might be really challenging. So,
Let me
okay,
pause you real quick there.
sure.
What would happen if you had stayed?
If I'd stayed, well, there would not have been, our second daughter would not have been born, and my husband would have been raising our 18-month-old as a single dad.
And
I would have
I
passed on.
guess so. I guess my question is, right, like if you had stayed, all of that would have happened, right? But what would, I guess, because everybody seems to come back, right? Like I have a curiosity of like, what if people stay there? Like, what would their soul be working on then? Would they immediately
I
at some, would somebody immediately be like, all right, I'm done here. Let's go back and try again on Earth. Like, what
Yes,
happens when you stay?
yes. Let me ask my guides right now. This is an excellent question. No one's ever asked me, and I can hear them wanting to answer it. So let me just have a guide answer it. What would have happened is she would have had a period of restoration. She would have had a period of healing. She would have had a life review. She would have met with her council of elders and understood what she was meant to be doing in that lifetime. She would have been planning the next lifetime, but it's her choice when she would have gone back into it. She would have gone back into her marvelous job that she had for eons, up with the light when not incarnated into a body, which was working in the Akashic records. And she helped people, primarily guides, sometimes the soul on their own, but usually guides or angels, find their book of life and find the pertinent information. And what a segue into becoming a past life regressionist, because it's just that past life, the present, and the future information too. It's all there. So she would not have been sitting around floating on a cloud eating bonbons, but she would have been having restorative experiences. She would have been regenerating and learning at the soul level. She would have been having reunions. There would have been a lot going on. And then at a certain point, she would have planned the next life, and she would have needed, it's like a pin being stuck in as a placeholder of what she didn't do and didn't accomplish. That would have been really burning in her soul of, oh my gosh, I did not complete my life purpose and my life path. She very likely would have chosen something very closely related to have gone back, but it would have been with other people in another time period, putting aside the quantum, and all time really is now. Because remember, home is a timeless place. Home is a spaceless place. So it's just hard to wrap the human brain around that. Excellent question. Did we answer it?
Sure. And I'm assuming, did you develop this gift of channeling after your NDE? When did you, I guess,
It was
when did,
actually a fair bit after. She did not come to it gracefully. She came to it more kicking and screaming. We did it in degrees. It started with the near-death experience. We're speaking as her guides. We have angels here too. And she started waking up with that near-death experience as a 36-year-old. She did not really start to wake up fully for another 13 years until she was 49. And then she met the soulmate with the soul contract to wake her up spiritually. And that's when everything started to shift into a much higher gear. And then the channeling came in a couple of years after that.
yeah, I like to tap into that a little bit. I didn't know you could channel, so surprise. I definitely have some questions that we can ask later about reality, if that's cool.
Absolutely. We'd be happy to come back in. So let's bring Wendy back, and she'll finish narrating that story, but happy to do that. And uh, we can multitask here too, and she can help her dog if her dog needs to pop on out the door here. So let's bring Wendy fully back.
Sure.
Oh my goodness. That was such a great question. I didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah, neither did I. It just popped out.
So I come back down that escalator. Archangel Michael puts me back into my body, and I'm looking back over. Oh, important point. I got one more group hug from the entire group. And that second time, I could feel this massive energy download. I don't think I would have survived the surgery the next day. I think that was the importance of why I went home, was a multitude of things. It was to get me to start to wake up. It was to get me to realize I wasn't on my path and needed to change my life, even though I didn't know what or how I could, but I could feel the imperative nature of that. I also felt so much more love and support. I had not felt that before. It was a really big deal. So I get that amazing hug, and then back down the escalator, and I'm just looking over my shoulder, and I'm looking back, and everyone's like cheerleading, like, you can do it. We'll help you. We'll be with you. And then I just go on back down, and I just pop down into that body, into the hospital bed.
What was your religious upbringing before this?
I would Protestant, I would say casual Christian. I didn't pray. I didn't know how to meditate. I didn't have any spiritual practice, and those would all become so much more meaningful to me. But it would take me a while to get there.
So you come back into this life and surgery goes well.
The surgery obviously went well. They used imaging so that they could stay away from the little tiny peanut of a fetus. And what they discovered during the surgery was it was the fundus that had ruptured. That's an aorta, and it's the aorta at the top of the uterus. So I was correct. I'd felt something ripping and tearing. And remember that dream? It was just all this ripping and tearing, and the ship goes down. So it was very the symbolism. But what do you do with something like that other than just pay attention of, my goodness, I might have a health emergency coming up. There might be something really big coming up and I should be paying attention.
Do you
So
think that was your like this is an extreme example of this, but was that an example of your higher self trying to get your attention so that you could get on your right path?
absolutely. That's just a really great insight, Trey. I think that's absolutely what was going on. So I have the surgery. I'm recuperating in the hospital for a couple more days. I go home to 6 weeks of bed rest, and then I go back to work. And I worked in a busy ambulatory surgery center. Loved the job. Been there about 3 years. And everyone's like, "Oh, Wendy, welcome back. We're so glad you're here." Because I've been out a significant amount of time, and people at that point knew I was pregnant and something had happened. But Trey, I just didn't have any words for it. And it's just, you're passing coworkers in the hall, or, like this, trying to grab a quick lunch. And it's just, I didn't have any words for it. I didn't share the NDE experiences for about 20 years. And that's another hallmark, is a lot of people, particularly people who had them years ago, because there just wasn't language for it, because things happen at home with the light that it's hard to use our human language for. So it just took a while to incorporate it all and what had actually happened. So I'm back at work for about 6 weeks. It's now early November of 1997. So we'll see who the economists are in the listening audience. And I have no idea that things are about to take a real turn, although I certainly didn't forget what the angel had told me. And I get called into my boss's office. It's Friday afternoon. Great relationship with my boss. I think he just wants to chat about what we're each going to do on the weekend, or to give me something that he needs done the next week. Instead, the minute I walk into his office, you can just read his energy, and he looks like the gloomiest Gus I've ever seen. And I also see human resources sitting there looking exactly the same with my personnel file. So of course, this is the infamous Friday afternoon layoff. So I get laid off. I am carrying the family health insurance. So we now have no insurance for my delivery, and I have no job. I'm still not feeling 100%. And this is not a fabulous way to be interviewing for a new job. Well, pregnant, and have just gone through this sort of a medical emergency. So I am really stressed by this. And, again, employers just being as kind as they possibly can. I've got some severance, go ahead, file for your unemployment. We'll give you a great letter of recommendation, so on and so forth. So I go home and steel myself to share this with my family. And I do file for unemployment right away. And that got approved pretty quickly. 1 week later, to the day, my husband is super late coming home from work, to the point where I'm concerned. I'm thinking, has he been in a fender bender? What is going on? Because he's about 3 hours late and has not called. The minute he walks in the door, just his energy, I've never seen him look so stressed, sad, just really defeated. So, and I'm waiting in the living room at this point for him to walk in the door. It's like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay? What is going on?" And he said, "Wendy, sit down. I need to tell you something really difficult. And I'm going to be going to payless paydays." And then he continues to tell me what's happened with the software company that he owned. I can't hear anything past payless payday. I'm like, what does that does not compute. Those two words don't go together. So I finally had to say to him after he gave me this explanation of what had happened. They had laid off everyone in the company. It had happened very suddenly. I had no idea that there were some concerns and warning signs going on, because he didn't want to stress me further, knowing everything I'd been going through medically. So he had not been sharing this information. So he explains again, payless payday. I'm going to be working long hours. We've got so much to do to clear up the company, try and get it sold, and I'm not going to be getting paid. I am not happy with this information, not just what's happening, but the fact that it's like he's making all these decisions and there's not even a discussion. So I'm not feeling in very good partnership right now. And so that is the next thing that happens. I'm thinking, my gosh, those angels really did have it right. Things were going to get challenging. So this was the recession, a deep recession of late 97 going on into 1998. So he's trying to get the company sold. I'm trying to find a job, just not succeeding. We're down to just my unemployment, because I also asked my husband, well, please go ahead. I'm so sorry this is happening. Please go ahead and file for unemployment. And then he lets me know, well, I don't qualify for unemployment. I'm self-employed. And I didn't know that either, because I had never been self-employed. So we're literally heavily mortgaged. We've just moved into a new home, expecting second baby. Everything had been going great with both careers. And we had just purchased a minivan to, again, welcome that second baby. So I try and negotiate with creditors. It does not go well, trying to do everything I can to keep us afloat. My husband is not able to put any cycles into it because he's working on getting his company sold, and he's also doing programming because everyone's been laid off. So flash forward, my mother kindly saved us, Bank of Mom, and she paid the shortfall every month of what we couldn't manage to take care of. And we were able to keep our home, and we were able to keep our car from not being repossessed. So forever grateful for her kindness and generosity in doing that. Flash forward to March 13th, 1998. I give birth to a healthy baby girl with one-on-one nursing care, because the risk of that surgery having been done, I went through the entire pregnancy knowing that the uterus could rupture again in that same way. Because think of that tremendous pressure and growth that's going on. And that would have likely been death for me, because it would have been straight up into my heart and lungs. So I had to go through the entire pregnancy like that, and the labor too. So one-on-one nursing, deliver the baby. And the way I got the health insurance was from an angel. This is crazy to me. I am in the pediatrician's office several months before the birth, and I hear, look, from Michael again. And I'm like looking around like, oh my gosh, are all the kids okay? It's just a zoo in the pediatrician's office. But I can see this lamp over on a little side table by the door. And I can see the lamp just getting like brighter and brighter and brighter. And I can see a little brochure in front of it. So I know he means for me to go over and grab that brochure. So I stuff it in the diaper bag and I take it home. And what it was a program called WIC, Women, Infant, and Children. And I was able to qualify and get health insurance, and also get us some assistance with food, because we hadn't been qualifying for anything, because we owned a home by the skin of our teeth with my mother helping, and we owned two vehicles. So this was such a blessing. So I was approved for what's now called a drive-through delivery, the very short stay. So I deliver on a Friday night, and I'm whisked on home the next day, kind of going like, what just happened? I'm home Saturday morning nursing the baby. and Archangel Michael comes in. I'm alone at home, just holding her. So grateful to have this healthy baby, exactly like I was told. And anyone feels that, and just, the gratitude and the love and just the relief and just all the emotions going on, all those hormones just flowing out of your body. So it's just really big. And for me, it was bigger than most. Archangel Michael comes in. I haven't even been home an hour. And he says, just very matter of factly, your contract with your husband is complete. Okay.
Does he come in? Like, do you see him, or is it just still
I
the
saw him.
voice?
I heard him. It was just
You
clear as
saw
day.
him, heard him.
Yep. And this
What's he look like?
huge, huge. So much light. I cannot clearly see the face, but just 7, 8 feet tall. It just I can it's like wearing I don't want to call it a cape. It's more like there's like a breastplate with it, but just huge and just so much light, so much truth. Just just I just associate him with truth in so many ways. And not my finest moment, I'm now arguing and swearing at an archangel. What the do you mean my contract with my husband is complete? Do you not see the baby? I just had a baby. Why? And I did clarify with them. I'm like, what does that mean? Maybe I'm jumping to conclusions here. What does that mean? My contract is complete. And he just verified your marriage is over. It's like, wow, nice timing. Sarcasm. So that was really heavy knowledge to have. It was hard. I did my best to be a great wife, partner, mother. I didn't know how to communicate any of this to my husband. These experiences were so vivid, so real. I knew I was healthy mentally. I did not have any concerns. These were hallucinations. I knew it was like more real than real is the best way I can describe it. It was just this inner knowing and truth of these spiritually transformative experiences that kept happening after the near death experience. So we
Hmm.
did our best. We did our best to be great partners, to be great parents, but we did divorce once the children were full-time in school. I chose the time. I thought that was the best time to do it. And we worked to do it in the most peaceful, kind way we could with one another. We agreed to 50-50 custody. And my mom, again, surprised us. And she moved on out from Boston to Seattle. And what she announced was, I'm team grandmom, meaning I don't play favorites. I'm not here to help you, Wendy. I'm here to help the family. I'm here to help the kids. And she would, say to my husband, you need to let me know if you need me to do a pickup for you because you're running late or whatever. I'm gonna, help glue this together because it's very challenging
Sure.
to parents, who don't live exactly close to each other with Seattle's traffic.
So you're doing the single mom life, right? And
Yeah.
while receiving messages that you receive a message from Archangel Michael that your contract is fulfilled from your husband.
Mhm.
So I'm assuming probably 4 or 5 years until the kids are in school that you kind of like, I mean, the entire time before the divorce, were you kind of like battling inside your mind of what to do? Like, or did you just kind of know in your heart, like, this is accurate what he said?
I knew what needed to happen, but I felt a lot of guilt about it. I felt really shame that I was going to be breaking up the family. It's not like I took my marriage vows lightly. We married with a lot of love, and we had talked a lot about wanting to make it be a lifetime commitment. We didn't marry as 18-year-olds. We married at 28 and 30. So it wasn't a decision lightly made, but I knew
Hmm.
it had to be made. And I knew if I didn't take the step that things were going to get even harder and harder and harder. What was starting to happen was I was having vivid dreams again. And this time it was an Excel spreadsheet. And at first I couldn't understand, I didn't want to look at it. I just knew I didn't want to see it. But it would keep coming back to me again and again. And finally I'm like, oh, I guess I have to read the column headers. What it was me figuring out how to divide up our assets and our liabilities. And it was just my higher self and guides coming in. I did our divorce. We didn't use an attorney, and that's pretty hard to do.
Sure.
But it was just all coming through of this is what we needed to do. And if you're resisting a change and it's meant to happen, it's going to keep coming and coming and coming and get bigger and bigger and more uncomfortable. But it took us quite a long time to get that accomplished. It was 4 years.
Wow.
So that had been accomplished. The career is now starting to go great. Everything's really going well. Fast forward, our daughters are now 12 and 14. And all of a sudden, Trey, it's like something just shifted, like something turned on. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm now ready. I'm so surprised. I'm ready to meet a great guy. That had not been on my radar. It's like not there at all. And it was just like I just woke up one morning like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to meet a wonderful man. And then I'm thinking, because I'm still super busy, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm not meeting anybody through, the occasional times I go to church. I'm not meeting, through friends introducing me. How do you meet a great guy? So I asked my younger girlfriends who are actively dating, and they told me, oh, Wendy, that's easy. You just go on match.com. And my response was match.what? Because I hadn't been on a date in 25 years. I didn't know what online dating was. So girlfriends explained it to me, had to get me through the technology piece of it, helped me get some pictures and create a profile. So I started online dating. The moment I changed my distance, because you put in a distance of how far you're willing to be from the person that you want to meet, the minute I changed it to 10 miles, this profile came up, and it felt like it changed everything. I could not look away from the computer screen. It's like I was on high alert, and I'm reading the profile, which was quite unique. It's in no way trite, but it's like I'm two sentences ahead. It's like I know what it's going to say. And I'm looking, going, I know this man. I know this man. Where do I know him from? Where do I know him from? I can't remember. Where do I know him from? I know him. So the last sentence in his dating profile, it's probably never been written, was any woman on a spiritual path, particularly if you're interested in an LBL, we have to meet. I'm like, LBL? What's LBL? So I Googled thinking, okay, I better make sure this is not some weird drug reference I don't want to get involved with. And I found Life Between Lives, Dr. Michael Newton, Journey of Souls, who was an amazing hypnotherapist who created this deep 4 hour plus spiritual regression where you would go back in time briefly to your most recent past life and then journey on home to the light. Sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
So like an NDE, but without the trauma. And people were then having all these amazing experiences. So he had created this through a patient, just getting him to go there. So I write right away to this match. I said, "Are you talking about Dr. Michael Newton's Journey of Souls? Is that what you're referring to? Are you talking about Life Between Lives? Because this is fascinating." I found his website. I can't wait to get the book. I requested it from the library. I'm waiting for it to get here. Again, no Kindle instant gratification yet, because by now it is 2011. So it takes us 3 weeks because we want to meet. He's having the same reaction to me. He's like, where do I know you from? I know you. So we're emailing, we're calling, we're talking to each other. We can't wait to meet, but it takes 3 weeks for schedules to get synced up. That was, I'm sure, to give me time to get the book and read the book. So I had just finished it by the time we met for lunch. It was a weekday. We met near my work because he lived fairly close to my work. And I'm waiting in the restaurant foyer, and I'm looking toward the door. And the minute he walked in, Trey, I've never had an experience like this. It was like the earth was moving. It was like an earthquake, and I could feel life is never going to be the same. Pay attention to this. Everything is shifting and changing. He walked right over to me, and I couldn't stand up. I'm just like sitting there. And he dropped down on one knee and is just looking in my face, like inches from my face, going, I know you, I know you, I know you. I said, I know, but I still can't figure it out. So he helps me up. I'm thinking, oh God, Wendy, act normal. Walk into the restaurant and have lunch and you'll figure it out. We were there for 3 hours. We would have been talking longer, but we had to go back to work. And what we discovered during that very first lunch, it was nothing to do with this lifetime. We'd gone through everywhere we'd lived, every group we'd ever belonged to. We'd gone through everything. And we both were like, oh my gosh, this is a profound past life connection, because we just kept finishing each other's sentences. And there was such an excitement of catching up. So if you ever meet someone and right away there's this instant, immediate, we've got to catch up. Oh my gosh, I found you again. There you are. That's a soulmate. That's someone you've known likely very many times. So that's what happened next. And I would find out over time he had the contract to wake me up spiritually.
Did you guys get married?
We did not.
No.
It's another great question. And there was a soul contract to do so. But plot twist, we've all got free will. And I simply think of contracts as agreements, and they're agreements that we make with important people. And we make those agreements because we work really well with these people that we've known many times. So if you're going to work on something and choose as a soul, gosh, I really need to work on forgiveness. I'm not especially great at forgiveness. Guess what? You're probably going to make an agreement, a contract with some soulmates to do some pretty unforgivable, awful, outrageous, painful things
Mhm.
because you said, I want to master forgiveness.
So is that your contract? Is that what you're trying to master, is forgiveness?
That was one of my contracts with them. So the first contract was delightful. It was to wake me up spiritually. And we dated exclusively for 13 months. It was a highest high, lowest low. I have never had a relationship. I've never had a romance like that. That is not me. I'm pretty, pretty peaceful and practical. And it's like, why is this so crazy? It was just crazy making because we had so much past life energy to release. We found 21 shared lives together, 6 of them married. So it was just a lot of
So were
energy.
you going in regression and remember, was he performing the regression on you, or were you performing the regression on him, and how you were finding out about these past life connections?
That's a great question. Some of them would come to us in dreams, and then we would validate them with each other. Some of them came through me having past life regressions as the client. Some of them came through him having past life regressions. Some of them came through psychic mediums. And it wasn't like we were out there searching. There was so much energy and so much intensity to it. I was just trying to like stay upright for much of that time period.
Mhm.
So much was coming through. And we had a friend who was a beautiful psychic medium. She was very gifted with auto writing. And she'd be finding her own past life to heal. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're in it, Wendy. And my former boyfriend, you're in it. And she would just be, again, with our permission, be sharing it with us. Or I'd go to have a Reiki healing session. Guess what? Not only one, two more past lives crop up. Just trying to get a Reiki healing session to calm down is like more and more and more. So
Mhm.
it was super intense. And we did break up. He ended it via email. And yeah, make that face only times 10.
So it
I
started online and ended online.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. I hadn't thought of that.
I just contracts, they're tough.
They really can be. They really can.
Have you forgiven him? Is that contract released?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I could not be more grateful that we met. I could not be more grateful we completed the contracts. The second contract that I realized we had between us was brilliant. He was to break my heart repeatedly until I stood in my power fully without abusing it. Because I was shirking. I didn't want any more karma for having abused my power by being too heavy handed. So I was like, nope, 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 not going to write that book. Nope, not going to speak publicly. Nope, nope, nope. And I wasn't sharing my gifts and abilities because they were pretty terrifying. They were pretty hard
Mhm.
to land. And I also was a single mother with children under 18. I was not willing to come out publicly until they were adults and until there was no more shared custody. That was just a conscious, practical decision I
Sure.
made.
Did you
So
come back from the NDE with special abilities or enhanced psychic abilities?
I think we all have special abilities. I think we all have beautiful intuition and other gifts. We just have to be willing to listen to it and to act on it, to recognize it. But I do think NDEs can really heighten those. And I think NDEs, often the purpose of those is to give us a huge mid-course correction, because I have not met many NDEers who don't say that, their life is pretty remarkably different before and after the NDE. NDEs, they have some commonalities to them, but they're also very unique to the person, and you get what you most need. So
Mhm.
they're unique. They're unique also.
Do you still hear Archangel Michael?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm just very, very privileged to hear him, to hear other angels. Sometimes I hear them as the collective, and sometimes the archangels I know specifically who it is. Archangel Raphael, for instance, for helping with healing, and just different specific specialties and tasks that they have.
Do you see them in your physical reality or is it just voices?
Um, that's a great question too. I personally am very clairaudient. So most of it I get via very clear hearing that's taken me years to develop and just continues to hone and get better and better. Um, Clairvoyance, sometimes, yes, I'm seeing through the third eye and I'm like imagining, envisioning. And other times it's like, oh, you are in the room. You are like a person. I saw an angel in Costco, which I thought
Really?
was the wildest thing. It was just like out of the corner of my eye. And I'm like, oh, I really want these plant-based sausages. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I just I was like, what are you doing in Costco? And it was an angel with a sense of humor. It said, hey, what better place on a Saturday afternoon? There's just so many people here. just I can just impact, I can just send my energy and just help hundreds and hundreds of people by kind of hanging out in this Costco for a couple of hours. And it sounds so crazy, it sounds so mundane, yet it was so beautiful. It
There
was
is something angelic about buying things in bulk. I will tell you that.
I didn't see the angel doing any free sampling.
Especially toilet paper, right? Like we all know there's a shortage of that. Wow, that's just so fascinating. being able to see something in your reality like that. And then,
More and more people are going to be able to, because the veil's getting thinner and thinner and thinner. We're getting ready for a really big shift. So it's just important for people just ground and clear your energy. Just, work to have that spiritual practice. You can get that left brain that says you're making stuff up, that ego to just remember that the mind is a wonderful servant and a terrible master. We're really meant to be in our hearts, and also tune into that gut wisdom, and just, have the brain be a wonderful thing that works for us, not against us.
mhm. Do you fear death?
No.
No.
Absolutely not. I don't think there is death. Was it John Lennon who said something about it's just like stepping, in and out of a different car or something to that effect. I think he was pretty connected and had it right. And it's probably why he took an early exit point home. He'd had just so many accomplishments by then. It was just time to go on home. I believe we reincarnate many times, and we've got the choice of where and when and what planet, what dimension. And I believe we make a lot of the choices, that we get to then experience, because doesn't it make sense when you're scripting, okay, here's what I want to learn. You just choose, where would it make sense for me to live. Interestingly, so you can think of me as a librarian, because that's what I did at home, for so long, working in the Akashic records with those beautiful holy books of life. And then I had moved on up to becoming a junior guide. And I think that's why it's so fun for me to get to help people connect with their guide, because a lot of people find that hard to do at first, and to
Sure.
just trust it and to know how to do it. And I think it's also why I channel guides so easily, because it's like, oh, yeah, I know you. It just feels really good and familiar. But what my former boyfriend, he found out his job at home. He's an extensive world traveler. He's been to over 100 countries. His goal is to go to every UN recognized approximately 200 countries in the world. And what he does at home is, when people are choosing what their life is going to be, their body form, where they're going to live, he's advising them on what that country is like. And then guides figure out, okay, this is going to help you achieve your goals and your objectives, or not. This is not a good fit. So I was like, well, wait a minute. You're a glorified travel agent. And he's like, well, you're a glorified librarian. It's like, okay, fair enough.
Fair enough. Do your
Yep.
guides ever give us maybe a timeline of when we fully are going to awaken, right? Like, I feel like right now in this world, it's pretty hectic. Things are going crazy, bonkers in different
Yeah.
countries, here as well, right? With the
Yes.
elections coming up and everything
Yes.
that's going on in Israel. And
Yes.
um,
I think we're getting very, very close to a major, major awakening. And it's interesting you bring this up. I was just at a meditation retreat for the weekend, and drove from my home in northern Idaho out to the Seattle area. And my spiritual teacher was doing a lot of channeling on this topic. And what she was seeing, what the angels were sharing with all of us, and it's great because I'm able to validate, does this make sense for me? Does this not make sense for me? Because you've always got to run it through your own filter. And the angels, I feel that they want to help prepare us. They don't want to scare us. Isn't that right in the Bible? The first thing they say, because it's very surprising, startling to suddenly see a being that large and that much light just when you didn't expect it. And I think that the first thing that's always quoted in the Bible that they say is, be not afraid. So they're trying to prepare us, not scare us. But what we were hearing and working with over the weekend as the channelings was that it feels like there's a major event coming, perhaps a solar flare, the type of which we've never seen before, that's energetically going to change people and change our reality. My belief is Earth is raising her vibration and frequency, and it's like, get on board, or this may not be for you. And I
Hmm.
say that with the deepest love and respect, but I do feel a lot of people are going to choose to go on home because they're not ready for the next steps and stages.
Do
So
you
they
think
will.
people confuse angels as ETs?
Huh, that's a great question, too. I think some angels do feel very galactic in nature, and others I don't feel that energy from as much. So I think it depends where we have spent our time. Just like I tend to attract clients who have been on other planets and they're opening to that information, or they know a lot and they want to know more about that, or they're remembering lives in other dimensions, remembering lives as dragons, as fairies, as mer people, just things that can sound very fantastical. But if it's impacting their life now, it's important that we work with that energy and get that figured out and get that straightened out. Um, so I think there's big changes coming. And I think being the good Boy Scout and Girl Scout and being a bit of a prepper, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Have some non-perishable food, have some batteries, just get creative and just have fun. Like, well, how would I take care of myself if the power was suddenly out for a long time? What would I do for heat or for cooling? What would I do if the water was contaminated? What would I do in these different instances? And again, it's not to prep from a place of fear, but just to take care of yourself. I mean, you can get those wonderful life straws. You can just think of different ways of how would I boil water, or do I want, some of those little chemical tablets? What would you do? Do you want a Berkey water filter? What do you want?
Well, would it take a major reset like that for humanity to really reconnect with its soul essence, right? Like, would we have to lose everything in order to gain our sense of identity back of who we truly are?
Right, right, right. Um, I hope we're able to tune into our hearts. I hope we're able to really tune into helping our neighbors and doing what needs to be done, because I think I believe Earth needs to cool herself off. And there's many psychics and people have been channeling pretty similar information, that the way the planet's going to cool herself off is by a major volcanic explosion, which is going to cause tsunamis and cause major flooding.
Hmm.
And we may see just an incredible change go on in what our geographic landscape is. And if you can imagine, what if there weren't our major ports? What if the ports were not there? What if the ships were not able to deliver? What if supply chain shortages really became an issue? I started as one of my neat at home COVID projects. I've never had a green thumb, and I didn't have a great place to be growing a garden on my property in Seattle. Is heavily wooded. Um, and I decided to do hydroponic gardening. So guess what? I grow a year round some really delicious lettuce and herbs, are the things you can be doing, or are there people that around you where you can just have some of those local connections. Because what we were hearing, and again, it's not the first time I've heard it dozens of times, pretty consistent information of just these sorts of major weather changes for Earth to cool herself off, to remain habitable, to remain viable. Because we know planets have a life cycle. We know, many of them have burned up over time.
Mhm.
So, and also a lot of information about major rainfall like we have not seen. So again, to just try and cool itself off. And so my response to that, I asked my guides, is there anything else I need to do? Because I have done some prepping, and you've got a couple crates worth of things that I think could be really useful. And they said the funniest thing to me, they said, well, you don't have a really good pair of rain boots, really good rubber boots. Just go ahead
You got
and
everything but the boots.
yeah, exactly. Go ahead and buy those. So I did do that again, not from a doom and gloom perspective, but just thinking that some things might be coming up that are pretty different and pretty challenging. The politics and what's going on with the division between countries and the war energy, it's got to be dissipated. There's so much anger, there's so much unrest, and it feels like systems and structures are really falling apart. Well, guess what? If you've ever gone through a healing crisis, whether it was a physical one or things really changing in your life, things have to fall away. And it's not always fun or easy what they do, but just keep going. Just be in the moment. Everything's fine right now. I've got what I need. And just keep on going. And just know we're gonna get through it, whatever might be coming. Having birthed two overly large children, I can say birth is a painful process, but oh my goodness, the amazing thing that you have at the end. It's the same thing when that butterfly is emerging from that chrysalis. I mean, it's just a hot mess. It's just melting. And it's just got to go through that process to get the strength to come out and be in that perfect physical form.
Sure. Um, do you mind? Do you have enough energy to channel and see what your guides say?
Absolutely, I would be happy to. Can you tell me topic so I know who to ask to come in, or do you just want to ask questions and we'll just see who comes in? That'll
Just
be
see who comes in. I'm
okay.
very curious about
Fair
some
enough.
things.
All right. Please help me be a clear channel for whoever can most help with the questions that Trey has right now. I'm grounded, higher self, fully in my body, wonderfully connected both to Mother Earth as well as up to the divine. Help me be a clear channel. Ready. We are ready.
So recently, just last year, three physicists won the Nobel Peace Prize for proving that local realism is false, essentially saying that the observer effect is true. So, is this reality real? And if it isn't, is it a simulation?
I think the concept of a simulation is a good one. I think the movie The Matrix gets it right in many ways. Um, we're speaking as angels. This is a collective of angels. That's who's coming to answer your questions. We brought the whole party to be able to answer wherever you wanted to go. So things are getting closer between quantum physics and spirituality. Those realities and those conversations are very, very good, and just are starting to make sense for both parties. I think in some ways that are a bit surprising. But all time is now. All time is now. Everything is happening now, and it's just that human construct for simplicity to have past, present, and future. Everything is now, now, now. So if things become challenging in what you consider the future, just be in the now moment.
Do our past lives affect us in this present life?
Absolutely. Because again, time is continuous. It's better described as a loop than a line. And the soul memory is eternal. So therefore, yes, your past life energy can impact you hugely. And you don't have to believe in past lives for that to be true. And you don't have to believe in them to be able to receive healing from them. And it's not just challenging things that can be impacting you. But there are so many forgotten abilities. There are so many beautiful information from the mystery schools, from these sacred sites and sacred learnings that are becoming more and more available to people. They come in the dream time. They can come via meditation. They can come when you're taking a wonderful walk in the woods. They can come when you're washing the dishes. They come whenever you have quieted your mind enough. And we send plenty, plenty of inspiration to your screenwriters. That's where a lot of that quote creative writing is coming in, is from this information from the divine. We're very connected there. We help very much too with healing some of your many of your breakthroughs and your amazing, whether it's a physician, a chemist, a researcher, whomever it might be in these fields. They have done this many times, and they came back in and they're receiving wonderful help to serve mankind.
Speaking of technologies, can AI help us evolve as consciousness? Can it be a tool for humans to elevate their consciousness and become more awakened?
We think it's going to have the opposite effect. It's good for mundane tasks, but it does not help with creativity. You need your heart. You need your heart. You need your soul. Please tell me where AI has the heart and the soul.
Hmm. I have no idea. I don't
It does
know too
not.
much about it at all. At all. I don't. I mean, it's early stages, right? Like AI is in its early stages, and we're just seeing, well, for us, like, middle class, blue collar guy that I am, I'm just now learning more about AI, right? And I just very curious. I was having a conversation with my son today about AI and how he really needs to basically not use it, because I feel like it will hinder his creativity and his ability to tap into flow states. And he needs to be able to use those and tap into his own creativity to write stories, short stories, to draw, to be a creator. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, well, if AI is, depending upon like what model it is, or if it's language based, or whatever, if it has the ability to give us information, like, will it have the ability at some point to help us become more aware of ourselves? But to your point, if it doesn't have a heart, right, how can it teach us or show us how to reconnect with that heart, our own heart?
Mhm. The heart and soul, the higher self, and just that connection with not only the divine, but your connection with your body. You have bodies, and they're just meant to be treated as temples. And as you said to your son, how old is your son?
It's 13.
Okay, so as you said to your son, just be creative. Just and with younger children, it's just that child-directed play, just being willing to sit on the floor with them and just do what they want to do. And if they want to, play with whatever toy it is and how they want to create, and they're so lost in the moment, particularly as preschoolers, particularly under the age of 8. It's just really important times. And we're just noticing so many, so overscheduled, so rushing, so driving, so much driving, so many quote enrichment activities, that the downtime and the child directed play and the relaxation is the creativity, the time for that, the open free time is just very missing.
Going back to the simulation and or the matrix, right? Like, if it is a simulation, if this is some type of system, consciousness system, does Mother Earth have her own consciousness?
Absolutely. She's very much a sentient being. She is aware of herself. The animals are also sentient, and the water is sentient. There's a river that's been granted legal rights, and that's very important for it to to have teeth into the law, to not have it being polluted. So more things are sentient than you can imagine.
What about the all of the awareness around UFOs and ETs? Like, what exactly are they? Are they future versions of us? Are they kind of like, I wouldn't say babysitters, but like maybe overseers of the human race? Like, what are they?
They are many, many different things. A UFO is just that, an unidentified flying object. That does not mean that it's necessarily an ET, extraterrestrial or galactic ship. It may be that, but it may be it may be one of your satellites. It may be something else. So please repeat the question. We didn't finish answering it correctly for you.
So
Fully.
are they our future selves like coming in and somehow learn time travel back to this reality, or are they kind of like overlookers of Earth and the human race and making sure that we don't essentially blow ourselves up, I guess?
Nuclear power is very much a concern. Earth is very, very important to the galaxy. So yes, there is additional assistance. That's why there are so many angels here. So many of us are, I will joke with you and say, unemployed or underemployed because people are not calling on us enough. You do not have to wait to be thinking that you're dying in your bathroom at home alone to call on an angel. Just ask for help. Just spiritually surrender, and just be willing to believe and to ask for assistance. So yes, there are many overseers here. There are also, we love that thought and your realization that it can be your future self too. And that's just so twisty. Wouldn't that make a great movie? You can connect with your future higher self and learn some very beautiful, powerful, amazing things. There's a technique called future life progression rather than past life regression. But many of you can do it, naturally yourselves too, just by via your spiritual practice and by asking these questions. Such great questions.
Angels and humans, what is the difference between the consciousness there? Is it just level of vibration? Like, what is our association with you guys as conscious beings?
Our level of vibration is higher. Um, we have not typically been ever incarnated into a human body, but never say never. There are occasionally reasons why that was done and was needed to help something important that needed to occur. So yes, you truly do have some earth angels walking among you. So yes, it's about the vibration. It's about the amount of light that you can hold. It's about the healing and releasing that you can do. So as you are working to just do your best to live your purpose and to just embody that peace energy, the love, the joy, the gratitude, those highest vibrational frequencies. You just expand. You just are filled with more light. You give off more light. You raise your vibration and frequency, and you make it easier for us to connect with you, because we do have to lower our frequency. We do have to come down in our level to connect with you. Your guides do also, but that's fine. That's absolutely appropriate. And we meet in the middle somewhere.
Last question. I know that was supposed to be the last one, but this is really the last one.
The last.
Last. Signs and symbols, right? Are they really signs, meaning that you're on your path, or are they more or less just chance?
Synchronicities. Look for those synchronicities. Just pay attention to those. So yes, you can see those. You might use the word signs, but it's just that feeling of, oh my goodness, something is aligning. Oh, this is catching my interest. Oh my goodness. I wonder if this could be a sign or synchronicity. And just talk with your own higher self, talk with your guides, talk with whoever you relate to and feels uplifting and marvelous to you. And you'll just receive that information, because you'll just feel that little rush of excitement and just wonder. And you'll be honing your intuition, you'll be honing your discernment, and just learning more about yourself. It really is the journey within, which is interesting to say and to realize as I talk about connecting with external. But you can think of your own higher self, and you can think of guides as being another aspect of you, which is taking us to that collective consciousness that you asked about. And that's another difference between angels and humans, is angels more share a collective consciousness.
Hmm. Is that does that mean like everything that you need to be successful in this reality is within you?
That's a great way to look at it. I would just say, yes, live life to the fullest. And that important decision, do you choose to live as if the universe always has your back and you're going to be supported? Or do you feel the universe is always out to get you and nothing is ever going your way? Are you able to trust? Are you able to have faith? Are you able to do so even when it feels incredibly challenging or heartbreaking or just plain wrong? Are you able to just ride that crest, ride that wave, go on down through that valley, and know that it's going to come on up again on the other side?
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming through and speaking to us.
Absolutely. We'll bring Wendy back now. Just give us 1 second. Oh my goodness. I look forward to listening to this. I get some of it. I can remember and hear some of it, but I don't get all of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. Thank you for
Thank
asking
you.
those great questions.
Wendy, this has been amazing. I appreciate you going into overtime with me here.
Well,
How
we
can people
finally wore out my dog, so that's a good thing.
how can people find you? How can they connect with you?
Via my website, wendyrosewilliams.com. And you're so welcome to join me. I offer complimentary 1 hour energy healings and clearings and blessings on an ongoing basis with Q&A for people. So these are powerful group Zoom calls that you can sign up for and register at no cost. And those are on my website. So that's a great way to get to know one another. And that's a big part of my community service.
Sure. Wendy, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. And thank you to your listeners.